Hello everybody, Taran the Titan the King here. Today I've watched Jurassic World Dominion and bought the Rajasaurus toy. So I'm going to be giving you my thoughts on the film. Keep in mind these are just first impression thoughts, so my opinion can change drastically over time. Also, this is completely unscripted and there will be lots of spoilers in this video. So those are the warnings. So starting off with the plot, I did not at all expect the locusts to be relevant. I thought they were just going to be a minor nuisance in uh, the leaked scene in the trailer, but as it turns out, they're actually the overarching problem of the film. And Biosyn have spliced them with the DNA of Cretaceous locusts and bred them in massive quantities so that they would eat up all the crops except the ones that they themselves produce. So Biosyn will get a monopoly in agricultural economy. On one hand, I think this is incredibly smart in an evil way, but on the other hand, I don't think it would have taken much of a genius to figure out that Biosyn were the one who created these giant locusts, especially since there are no other genetic companies, and I'll get on with that later. Also, it was heavily hinted in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom that the dinosaurs were going to be the biggest threat to the ecosystem, but for some reason they decided to focus more on the locusts, and I think they really should have focused more on the dinosaurs. I know it would be kind of cruel to have to kill off some of them, but it just makes more sense to me. Also, getting back to what I said, I really thought there was going to be a massive arms race between several genetic companies. But for some reason, it was just Biosyn. Like, I know it's hard to come up with some complex stories and as well as, fun for the props. But it would have been cooler and made much more sense, especially considering that some dinosaurs were already auctioned off by the end of Fallen Kingdom. So that's basically my opinion on the plot. Now on the dinosaurs, most of the dinosaurs don't really get much attention actually. The Atrociraptors appeared in the Malta sequence, and they were handled pretty well, even though I really don't like how they look, being basically just copy paste Velociraptors. Um, but they were handled pretty well. I was sort of expecting them to be in the end of the movie as well, but as it turns out, it was just in the Malta sequence. The Pyroraptor, even though I absolutely love the design, it's probably one of my favorite designs in the franchise now, was only used in that one scene in the ice facility that was shown in the trailer. There is Dinosaurus, I also like the design of. It should have been a bit bulkier and had like bushier feathers, especially on the tail. But I did, for the most part, like how intimidating it was. But again, it was only used in the swamp scene teased in the trailer, and in the end where it kills the Giganotosaurus with the help of Rexy. The Giganotosaurus, I think, was sort of handled poorly. Like, it appeared twice before the climax. Uh, First one, it was just sleeping, and then the second one, it fought Rexy in basically just a random fight, so it basically meant nothing. I know they are animals, but in terms of plot, especially considering the Giganotosaurus is the main antagonist, and he fought Rexy like out of nowhere with no real conclusion to it, it felt sort of off. And the sequence at the end was cool, except for um, when the Giganotosaurus dies, because again, the Therizinosaurus is the one who killed it. I'll get onto that later. And then like Microceratus Listersaurus and Moros barely get any screen time at all. Heck, even the T-Rex barely gets any screen time. Now for returning dinosaurs. Dilophosaurus was basically the only one uh, that haven't that hasn't appeared in a long time that reappeared, and it was used really well in my opinion. Like there were multiples of them during the scene with Claire, as teased in the trailer. So that sort of backs up that there were more than one Dilophosaurus in Jurassic Park. One that spat on Nedry and another one that mauled him in the car. Hence why uh, there were two, or sorry, uh, hence why it was already ready in the car. And then the scene where Lewis Dodson died was also like that. It was clearly a callback to Nedry's death. Um, but I feel like some more dinosaurs should have returned. Like I know some of them returned, like the JP3 Raptors and the Trinodons, also from JP3, if I'm not mistaken, in the Dino Tracker website. But it would have been cool to have them in the actual film. Uh, Near the end, Rexy meets up with two other T-Rexes. Now, I don't know if their identities are confirmed, but I do hope they're T-Rexes we've seen before and not just random new ones. Like maybe Big Edie and Little Edie, or Buck and Doe. Probably Big Edie and Little Edie because neither of those look like Buck. Also, the Spinosaurus. The Spinosaurus didn't return in the film. I was really expecting it to, but sadly it didn't. But I sort of understand why it didn't return, because there was already a T-Rex and Giganotosaurus, as well as a Therizinosaurus. But in my opinion, the Spinosaurus really should have replaced the Therizinosaurus. I know it would have robbed the Therizinosaurus of appearing on the big screen, but the Therizinosaurus, in my opinion, is sort of random. I'm sorry if you do like the Therizinosaurus. I have nothing against the Therizinosaurus. It's just that having it to be the one to kill the Giganotosaurus, of course, along with Rexy, is very random, in my opinion. I know dinosaurs would probably think that's like some random natural occurrence because, I mean, they're not superheroes. They're not looking for revenge or redemption, but in terms of the plot, it was very random. So I think the Spinosaurus really should have taken the Therizinosaurus' place. Animals that we have not seen at all, like Suchomimus, Metriacanthosaurus, Proceratosaurus, did not appear. It would have been cool to see them in those dinosaurs in the wild videos, but I guess they just didn't have the time and budget to do that. So I quite understand that. Now for the characters. Of course, the main three protagonists of Jurassic Park return, as you probably know, and I really like how they were handled. Malcolm was sort of a combination of his Lost World persona and his sort of more cheesy Jurassic Park persona. Um, Grant and Ellie were also handled very well, in my opinion. I like how they didn't end up married at the end, um, even if Ellie had broken up with Mark, because I think it's a bit too late, if you know what I mean. Claire has this sort of regretful arc carried over from Fallen Kingdom, like she was partly responsible for the Indominus Rex and this ever happening to begin with. It doesn't really get touched on that much, but at least there's some sort of character arc for her. Owen has also a bit of a character arc with Grant. because they're both raptor enthusiasts, which was nice, of course. And then for the new character, Kayla was good. I think um, she didn't really have much of a character development, but she was good. I did like her character. Ramsey Cole, the Biosyn employee, I feel like was a bit skipped over. I mean, he did have sort of a personality. He didn't like what Biosyn did, but he didn't really grow as a character. He just sort of gained the courage to stand up against Biosyn. So I guess that was something. And Maisie, I I can't describe how I feel about them retconning her backstory to her mother, like what giving birth to her through part pardogenesis, if I'm not mistaken, uh, that is called, and then like modifying some of her genes so that she doesn't have her condition, which was actually what led to her passing away. Because Maisie being a human clone was such a big bombshell in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, and was taken so seriously as fact that outright throwing it out of the window feels very. I can't describe it again. I don't know what the feeling is. I guess off is the word. I guess it makes more sense to why like Wu wants her, because like if she is just a human clone, I mean you can just take human DNA and clone it. Uh, Whereas her mother gave birth to her through parthenogenesis, then that means she's sort of different from the others. So I guess it sort of made sense story-wise. For the antagonists, I like how Louis Dodgson was portrayed. Like he's sort of like the other villains of the Jurassic franchise, where of course his motivation is money and greed. Um, but even as sort of the boss of the the bad guy company, he's not like like deranged. I mean, he is evil. Like his scheme of getting money might cause a famine, but he's not like deranged. He doesn't just kill people randomly like that, even if he is like the boss of uh, the bad guy company. And then Sayuna Santos, which is the female antagonist in the Malta sequence, I do like that she isn't like a bumbling, money-hungry doofus that gets killed in a whimsical way. I like that she is a competent combatant. And then Rain Delacourt, uh, there wasn't really much to him. He was the one that kidnapped Maisie. Uh, but yeah, there wasn't really much to him. He was a pretty cool character. His death was funny, where he fell to the ground and then the baby Carno bit his arm, and then suddenly the Lycosaurus bit his other arm, and then like the Baryonyx with the prosthetic arm um, broke loose and then killed him. Uh, but he didn't really uh, have that big of a role. Overall, I like the movie, despite nitpicking it pretty heavily in this video. I do like it. I think it deserves a 7 out of 10. No more, no less than that. For the story that it's going with is pretty cohesive. Is but I feel like some things should have changed. Like for what it is, it's good, but it really should have taken a different route, especially with the plot. Like, it really should have been a genetic arms race. And again, some of the older dinosaurs should have returned. So, yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Bye.